Good morning, students. Welcome you all once again in the live classes organized by Board of Studies of ICAI. Friends, today I will be completing India's 12 income taxes, right? So let me quickly revise what we have discussed in the last session. So students, we discussed when I talk about income taxes, it includes current tax as well as deferred tax, right? So current tax means the tax liability. If the company has to file an income tax return, if the company has to assess what is the tax liability as per income tax provisions for the current year, it is known as a current tax expense. Okay. What is meant by deferred tax? As we understood that the accounting which we do in our books of accounts versus whatever is allowed or not allowed in income tax provisions. For example, depreciation. We provide depreciation as per Companies Act in the books of accounts. Right? However, income tax provides a separate concept on depreciation like block of asset concept, WDV depreciation based concept, right? So as per income tax provision, the depreciation would be different. As per Companies Act, depreciation would be different. So there are implications that you maybe end up paying higher taxes in the current year for which the benefit will be received in the future years, or you are paying lower taxes in the current year due to which the benefit you will be received in the future year. For example, let's say the depreciation is higher in Companies Act and lower in Income Tax Act. What does it mean? It means if depreciation is higher in Companies Act, your profit is lower in Companies Act, right? Your profit is lower in books of accounts. But if depreciation is lower in Income Tax Act, it means your taxable profit is higher. Your accounting profit is lower, your taxable profit is higher. If your taxable profit is higher, you end up paying higher taxes in the initial years. But if I talk about the entire life cycle, then the total tax, the total depreciation in accounting books and the total depreciation in tax books, both has to be equal. Okay. So if you are claiming lower depreciation in income tax, it means going forward, you have to pay less taxes because you are paying higher taxes today in income tax books. Okay. So it means it is a deferred tax asset. You are going to recover benefits in future. For example, your depreciation is lower in accounting books, means your accounting profit is higher, and your depreciation is higher in tax books, means your taxable profit is lower, right? In that case, if your taxable profit is lower, you end up paying less taxes. If you end up paying less taxes, it means you will pay more taxes. So you will pay more taxes in future.
Future.
So it is a deferred tax liability. Okay. So concept of current tax, concept of deferred tax. And as the English name suggests, current tax means tax on your current year profits. Your current tax. Deferred tax means tax which is going to be deferred, right? Either for the good reasons, I mean to say, either your tax will be recovered in future or tax will be payable in future. Okay, so this is the concept of deferred tax asset we discussed, and we discussed, my dear friends, current tax is a very small portion, right? Deferred tax is the substantial portion. 95% of the portion is deferred tax, which we have discussed or going to discuss as well, right? So friends, current tax is as simple. You need to pass an accounting entry, current tax expense account debit to provision for tax account or to current tax payable account. Okay. And this will be offsetted by advance tax or TDS adjusted. For example, provision for tax liability account debit to advance tax or TDS, right? And at the first place, when you pay advance tax, your accounting entry will be advance tax account debit, advance tax asset account debit to bank account. Okay. And when your vendors are deducting your TDS, so when your customers are deducting your TDS, for example, you are a chartered accountant, you provided audit services to your client. The fee is 10 lakh rupee and TDS is 10%. 10%. So what is the accounting entry you will pass? You will pass an accounting entry, client account debit to audit fee income account. Okay. Income is 10 lakh rupee. but your client will deduct your TDS of 1 lakh rupee. Your client will pay you 9 lakh rupee. What accounting entry you will pass? Bank account debit 9 lakh rupee, TDS receivable account debit 1 lakh rupee, to client account 10 lakh rupee, right? So this TDS receivable will become your asset. Okay, this will become your asset because your tax has been deposited by your client, okay, on behalf of you in terms of TDS. Okay, so what is deferred tax? We discussed deferred tax is future recovery of taxes or future payment of taxes, is known as a deferred tax, my dear friends. And when I put together current tax plus deferred tax, I will get the complete tax expense. Current tax plus deferred tax is equal to complete tax expense. Okay, friends, discounting of deferred tax asset or deferred tax liability is not permitted. Is not permitted. Friends, deferred tax asset and deferred tax liability will always be classified as
Non-current assets liabilities.
non-current asset or non-current liability. It's a non-current item. Which paragraph says that, Sanjay?
Para 56 of
Oh,
India's one.
nice.
56 of India's
Great.
one.
Oh, nice. Paragraph 56 of Ind AS 1 says that DTA and DTL will always be classified as a non-current item. Very good. Very. Yes. So we discussed this current tax liability, tax TDS, advanced tax, right? So friends, deferred tax can be arised on which kind of differences? On deductible temporary differences. On deductible
Deductible and
temporary
taxable.
differences. And no, so on taxable temporary differences, deferred tax liability will arise. So
In that,
DTA will arise on the deductible temporary differences and carry forward of unused tax losses and unused tax credit. Unused tax losses and unused tax credit, right? For example, the company has a tax losses. So till how many years these tax losses can be carried forward? 8 years. 8 years. The
8
losses can
years.
be carried forward for 8 years, right? So the company has a tax losses of, let's say, 1 crore rupees. Okay. So there is a taxable loss. There is that, like taxable income, there is a taxable loss of 1 crore rupees. Okay. So the company is probable that in the next year, the company will receive taxable profit. The company is probable that in the next year, the company will receive taxable profits. Okay. For rupees 3 crores. In this case, will you recognize deferred tax asset on this tax losses?
Yes.
Answer is yes. Why? Because you are going to get the benefit of these tax losses in the next year. How come this benefit will be received? If these tax losses would not be there, how much tax you will pay on the 3 crore rupees of taxable income in the next year, assuming a tax rate of 30%? In the
90.
next year, the income is 3 crore
Ni-
rupees. The taxable income is 3 crore rupees. Tax rate is 30%. How much tax you will pay in the next year?
90
Assuming,
lakhs.
assuming no tax losses are there, 90 lakh rupees. Assuming in the current year tax loss is there for rupees 1 crore. So how much tax you will pay in the next year considering a taxable profit of 3 crore? Taxable profit 3 crore less
60
set off
lakhs.
of carry forward of tax losses 1 crore. Now your tax liability has to be computed on 2 crore. What is the tax liability on 2 crore? 60 lakh rupees.
60 lakhs. Yes.
So you end up paying less 30 lakh rupees of, you saved 30 lakh rupees of taxes, but your next year profit is 3 crore. Your current tax is 60 lakh only. So what is the 30 lakh rupee? This 30 lakh rupee, whatever losses you have incurred, you have to create a deferred tax asset because you are going to have the benefits in future. So when you have the losses, you will create a deferred tax asset. What is the accounting entry? Deferred tax asset account debit to deferred tax expense account. Deferred tax expense को क्रेडिट किया मतलब इनकम, deferred tax की इनकम, राइट? और नेक्स्ट ईयर में क्या होगा? नेक्स्ट ईयर में your current tax expense will be 60 lakh rupee and this deferred tax asset will be reversed. तो क्या होगा? अकाउंटिंग एंट्री क्या होगी? deferred tax expense account debit to deferred tax asset account. So 60 lakh will be shown in the current tax. 30 lakh tax expense will be in the deferred tax. What is the total tax expense in the next year? Total
60
tax
lakhs.
expense in the next year. संजय नेक्स्ट ईयर का टोटल टैक्स एक्सपेंस क्या होगा?
60 lakhs.
Total tax expense in the P&L, Sanjay. Total tax expense in the P&L.
3 lakh, 90 lakhs.
90 lakh. Current tax 60 lakh. So current tax line item is a income tax line item. जो कि इनकम टैक्स प्रोविजन के हिसाब से जो टैक्स पे करना है वो है. Deferred tax is accounting adjustment and tax adjustment line item. So deferred tax is 30 lakhs. So total tax expense as per accrual concept in P&L is 90 lakhs. And what is your taxable profit? What is your accounting profit? 3 crore. 3 crore. So 90 lakh on 3 crore. What is the tax rate? 30%. Technically, as per accrual concept, your tax expense in the P&L has to be 90 lakh, right? Assuming at the rate of 30%. Is that clear?
Clear.
Leela, Geeta, Bibhu, others, are you clear?
Yes,
Naman?
clear.
Yeah. So friends, as we discussed, so deferred tax asset has to be created on the unused tax losses, unused tax credits, but deferred tax liability has to be created on has to be recognized on the taxable temporary differences. You guys understood the meaning of taxable temporary differences and deductible temporary differences, right?
Yes.
So deferred tax has to be created on temporary differences. What about permanent difference? If there is a permanent difference, whether deferred tax has to be created?
No.
No.
No, sir.
For
We can-
example, income tax department has imposed a penalty on the company. Okay. Whether this penalty is allowed in income tax return, answer is no. So penalty of rupees 10 lakh has been imposed by the income tax department, and the company knows that the company has to pay the penalty. Company has passed an accounting entry in the books of accounts. Penalty expense account debit to penalty expense account debit to penalty payable account. Penalty expense account debit to penalty payable account. Okay. So what is the book base? What is the carrying amount of this penalty in the books of accounts? Penalty payable. What is the carrying amount? Carrying amount क्या है penalty का? What is the carrying amount? भाई पेनल्टी पेबल का कैरिंग अमाउंट क्या है? मैंने अभी कितना अमाउंट बोला?
10 lakhs.
10 lakh, right? I hope my Excel file is visible. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Visible, yes.
Permanent deferred tax treatment in case of permanent difference. Deferred tax treatment in case of permanent difference. Okay. Yes. Example. Income tax department imposed a penalty on ABC Limited for rupees 10 lakh during FY 2024-25. Okay. During FY 24-25. The penalty is payable as at 31st March 2025, and the company has recognized the same in the books of accounts. Okay. In tax, the penalty will be disallowed. Okay. Disallowed and will never, in tax, the penalty will never be allowed. Okay. So it's a temporary difference or it's a permanent difference? it become a permanent difference.
Permanent
Okay?
difference.
Right. So friends, as I told you, step number 1, carrying amount. So what is the carrying amount of the penalty? What is the carrying amount of the penalty?
10 lakhs.
Carrying amount of the penalty is 10 lakh. Is 10 lakh. What is the tax base of the penalty? So income tax department says that I don't know about this penalty. Means in its books of accounts, in income tax books, right? Because income tax says that I'll not give you any credit of this penalty, right? I'll not give you any benefit of this penalty. So this penalty payable is nothing in income tax records. From the accounting perspective, I'm talking about. So while there is a temporary difference, because in companies books you are debiting this penalty expense in the P&L, but in income tax it is not allowed. But even in income tax it will never be allowed, so it will become a permanent difference. It will become a permanent difference. So in this case, since it is a permanent difference, permanent difference DTA/DTL will not be created. Okay? Because what is the purpose of DTA/DTL? It has to be created on temporary difference. It is not a temporary difference, it is a permanent difference. It is a permanent difference. Hence, on the permanent difference, DTA/DTL is not required to be created. Deferred tax treatment in case of permanent difference. तो क्या होगा deferred tax treatment? क्या होगा? No DTA/DTL to be created in the case of permanent difference. Right? Is that clear?
Clear.
Yeah. Yes. So friends, deferred tax has to be created only on the temporary differences, not on the permanent differences. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So we discussed carrying amount, we discussed tax base, we discussed what is the meaning of temporary difference. It has to be deductible temporary differences, then it has to be taxable temporary differences, then you have to apply the tax rate. And once you apply the tax rate, then you will get the DTA/DTL. You will get the DTA/DTL. Okay. So all these things we have discussed, right? All these things we have discussed. Taxable temporary differences. What is the meaning of taxable temporary differences? Means your temporary differences will be taxable in future. तो जब भी taxable temporary difference होगा तो क्या बनेगा? DTA या DTL?
Taxable temporary.
DTL.
DTL. It's a liability. Okay. What is meant by deductible temporary differences? Means the temporary differences will help you the deduction in the tax in future, right? Your tax will be deducted in future. Means you will pay less taxes in future. Okay. So in that case, whether it will be DTA or DTL?
DTA.
DTA.
Asset.
And do you remember any hand trick which I told you in the last class?
Yes.
Yeah. This hand trick will tell you whether you need to create a DTA or DTL. So vice versa, you can assume if it is a DTA, then it is a deductible temporary differences. If it is a DTL, then it is a taxable temporary differences. Right? So in my presentation, I have given that. I hope my presentation is visible, right?
Yes, visible.
So I have given you theory, but I don't believe in theory. So I believe in conceptual clarity. If you have the conceptual clarity, carrying amount means accounting books, textbooks. If you know this thing, then everything is answered, right? But if you believe in ratification, then of course you can just gum up this table, right? But don't do that. Understood it and apply it. You will get the answer, right? You will get the answer. So this is a outcome of the hand trick, which is there in the screen. Okay. So DTL. So this is one of the example which is there on the screen. So recognize a deferred tax liability for all taxable temporary differences. Okay. Except with the transaction which does not affect accounting or taxable profit, like permanent differences. Okay. PP with original cost of 150. Accounting treatment, depreciate a straight line to zero residual value after 5 years. So straight line method, depreciate over 5 years and original value is 150. What is the per annum depreciation in accounting books? 30 rupees, right? Tax treatment, original cost, tax deductible, straight line over 3 years. So the life in books is 5 years, the life in tax is 3 years. So what is the depreciation in books per annum and what is the depreciation in tax per annum?
30 and 50.
30 and 50. What is the carrying amount at the end of the first year? Carrying amount means amount in the books. Leela, what is the carrying amount in the books? Leela, what is the carrying amount in the books in the first year, at the end of the first year? 150 minus?
Depreciation.
150 minus how much depreciation in the books? The life is 5 year. Cost is 150. What is the per annum
30.
depreciation? 30. So 150 minus 30. 150 minus 30 is how much?
120.
120. So carrying amount is 120. What is the tax base? The cost is 150. What is the depreciation in tax in the first year? 50. 3-year life है ना tax में. So 150 minus 50. What is the tax base?
100.
100. So
100.
your carrying amount is 120. Your tax base is 100. So what should I do, Leela?
Create to DTL.
I should reduce. So you should answer like that. So my carrying amount of tax is my carrying amount of asset is 120. My tax base of asset is 100. Means I have to reduce my asset. If I have to reduce my asset, negative asset means liability. So I have to create a deferred tax liability. It is a taxable temporary difference. It is a taxable temporary difference. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So taxable temporary difference is how much? Difference between carrying amount and tax base, right? Assuming tax rate is, let's say, 30%. So taxable temporary difference 20 multiplied by tax rate gives you DTL. Okay? DTL. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So in this case, what will happen in this case, if you will see, in your accounting books, you will get the depreciation of 30 rupees in 5 years. But in textbooks, your depreciation will be finished in 3 years. Means in the 4th year and 5th year, there will not be any deduction on account of depreciation. So what will happen in the 4th year and 5th year?
We will offset DT.
नहीं, textbooks में क्या होगा लीला? What will happen in the textbooks in the 4th year and 5th year? You will have higher taxable profit.
Higher
Sorry?
taxable profits. Higher taxable profits.
You will have a higher taxable profit because you do not have any depreciation, because this depreciation will be finished in 3 years, in the first 3 years. So in 4th year and 5th year, you will have a higher taxable profit. In accounting books, depreciation will be there in the 4th year and 5th year also. But in the textbooks, you will have a higher taxable profit because in 4th year and 5th year, there will not be any depreciation. So technically speaking, in the first 3 years, you will pay less taxes. But in the 4th and 5th year, you will pay more taxes, right? In the total life of 5 years, the depreciation will be 150 only in accounting books as well as in textbooks. Okay.
Yes,
but
sir.
the mismatch which is getting created, this will result in your deferred tax. Okay. Whether everyone is clear on this or you guys are not clear?
Clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
Your hand trick is very successful, sir. It will create
You're
a great
right.
impact.
Yes.
Yeah. Even in office, we will do that, sir.
Oh, nice. Yes. Second example. This example I have not discussed in last time. Unrealized gain on foreign currency loan. Unrealized gain on foreign currency loan. of INR 50,000. Loan amount, unrealized gain on foreign currency loan of INR 50,000. Loan amount of INR 6,25,000. Right? So friends, there is an unrealized gain on foreign currency loan of INR 50,000 and loan amount is 6,25,000. Okay. Loan amount is 6,25,000. So the company has taken a loan, okay, in foreign currency. So when the company will take a loan in the foreign currency on the date of initial recognition, what company will do? The company will convert into INR, right? So when the company will convert this loan when the company has converted this loan into INR, the loan amount is 6,25,000. Okay. But the dollar depreciated and INR appreciated. So the company has an unrealized gain. So what will happen with this unrealized gain? Your amount of loan will get क्या होगा?
Reduced. Liability will get reduced.
Liability will get reduced. Liability will get reduced, right? Liability will get reduced. For example, you have taken a loan of, let's say, $1 lakh, and the $1 lakh value is 6,25,000. Okay. So you converted $1 lakh multiplied by X rate, it gives you 6,25,000. But now the value of the dollar has got reduced. Okay. So dollar will remain 1 lakh only. Multiply by. So when you multiply by X minus something, so you will get a liability of less than 6,25,000, right? So in your accounting books, you apply Indian accounting standard, and in your accounting books, your accounting treatment is convert at exchange rate applicable on the reporting date. So in your accounting books, you will reconvert, you will retranslate on the reporting date using a closing rate. So your carrying amount in the accounting books is how much? 5,75,000. But what is the tax treatment? Taxable when gain is actually realized. Tax says that I don't know about this notional, unrealized gain or losses. Tax book says that, income tax officer says that, I don't know this Ind AS 21, right? What you are saying, I don't know. This unrealized portion, I don't know. So I will allow you. For example, when the dollar is depreciated and you will actually realize income, I will allow. I will tax that income. Or if there is a loss, I will allow that loss. So what is the tax base? What is the tax base of this liability in the income tax books? What
Will
is
be
the
at
tax
the
base of
same
this?
of loan amount.
The initial date. So the amount which was converted on the initial date, when the company has taken a loan, what is the equivalent INR value? That is the tax base, right? 6,25,000. So in this case, my liability in the books is how much?
575 lesser.
My carrying amount is 575. My carrying amount is 575. My tax base is 6,25,000 for this liability. What
And
should I do?
I have to increase liability increase my liability.
I have to increase my liability. Yes.
Liability.
In my textbooks, my tax base is higher. My carrying amount of liability is lower. So I have to increase my liability. So increase my liability means what you need to create? You need to create a deferred tax liability. You need to create a deferred tax liability. It means this difference is a taxable temporary difference. और वैसे भी सोचो ना, you are not recognizing this gain in income tax books, but you have recognized this gain in accounting books. So what will happen in future? When this gain will actually come, you will pay tax in future. Means taxable temporary differences. Okay. So it is a deferred tax liability. Sanjay, is that clear? Because you got confused. You were saying that reduced tax liability.
Yes, now I'm clear. Yes, I'm clear.
So you have to do the adjustment in the carrying amount only, in the accounting books only. So the liability is 575, whereas in tax it is 625. So I have to increase my liability, means this will lead to deferred tax liability. Okay. Yes. So this is what we discussed. Yes. So friends, For unused tax losses and unused tax credits, what standard says that? Standard says that you need to create a deferred tax asset on unused tax losses and unused tax credit if the recovery of DTA is probable on such losses. If it is probable that future taxable profit will be available against which the unused tax losses and credits can be utilized. Right? So friends, when you will recognize deferred tax asset on the unused tax losses and unused tax credit, when you will recognize? When it is probable that future taxable profit will be available against which unused tax losses and unused tax credit can be utilized. It can be utilized. Okay. Now, talking about the unused tax losses and unused tax credits. Unused tax losses and tax credits. Okay. Unused tax losses and credits. So deferred tax asset has to be recognized. Whether my Excel is visible?
Visible. Yes.
Deferred tax asset has to be recognized on unused tax losses or unused tax credits when it is probable that future taxable profit will be available. Future taxable profit will be available against which the future taxable profit will be available against which the DTA can be what? Against which, not DTA, against which such losses can be utilized. Such losses can be utilized. Okay. Example. The company has a taxable loss of rupees 10 crore in financial year 24-25, or in tax language you call it as a previous year, right? In financial year 24-25, the company has a taxable loss. Okay. So the company is probable that it will be able to generate taxable profit in FY 25-26 for rupees 4 crores. From FY 2026-27, the company will go into the tax holiday period of 10 years, considering company is operating in gift city of Gujarat, where the government has given a tax holiday period of 10 years to be opted by the company. Tax rate is is 30%. Advise the treatment of deferred tax. Advise the treatment of deferred tax in the books, in the accounting books, in the books for FY 2024-25. Friends, are you clear on this question? So Gujarat Gift City is like a gift city is a jurisdiction. It's an area, right? Have you heard about Gift City?
Yes,
Gujarat
heard.
International Finance Tax City, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
government has given a tax holiday period of 10 years. Okay. And in a block of 15 years, you can opt from when you want to start your 10 years. Okay. So government has given an exemption. You are not required to learn this. It will be given in the question. So company has a taxable loss of 10 crore in 24-25. How much loss is there? 10 crore. What is the tax rate? 30%. So can we recognize a deferred tax asset of 3 crore rupees? 10 crore multiplied by 30%? What will you suggest? Friends, tell me, in this case, the loss of 10 crore, whether this entire 10 crore loss will be utilized in next
No,
10
there
years?
will be only 4 crore of taxable profit in FY 25-26, and thereafter there will be tax holiday period.
Yes. So after next year, means after FY 25-26, there will not be any taxes for next 10 years. And the limit of this loss will expire. And the company does not have the visibility also. Right? So these losses, these unused tax losses, these carry forward tax losses, the company will be able to utilize only in the tune of 4 crore. And the remaining 6 crore loss will lapse. Right? So in this case, on 31st March 2025, how much deferred tax asset you will recognize?
1.2 crores.
So to the extent of 4 crore multiplied by 30%.
By 30%.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Solution. Yes. In this case, the company will be able to utilize the loss of 4 crore in the next year. Right? In the next year. From in tax holiday period, there will not be any taxes and hence no question of utilization will arise. Right? The remaining carry forward tax loss, the remaining unused tax losses will lapse. Hence, DTA will be recognized only to the extent the company is probable to utilize, right? So in this case, what is the carrying amount of this carry forward losses? What is the carrying amount of the carry forward losses? There is no carrying amount. Carrying amount is 0. But as per Income Tax Act is creating this asset of carry forward losses. Income Tax Act is saying that we will receive a benefit of this carry forward losses in future. So what is my tax base? What is my tax base of the asset? What is my tax base of this asset?
4 crores.
4 crore. While it is 10 crore, but the recovery will be possible. The recovery is probable only for 4 crore. So my accounting books, what is my carry forward of losses in accounting books? Carrying amount zero.
Okay.
जीरो ना, कैरिंग अमाउंट जीरो ना, बिकॉज कैरी फॉरवर्ड का कोई
Yes.
कॉन्सेप्ट अकाउंटिंग बुक्स में थोड़ी होता है,
Right.
राइट? बट इन टेक्स्ट बुक्स, what is my asset, what is my carry forward loss asset in text books? 4 crore. 4 crore है ना?
4 crore, yes.
So what should I do? I will create a deferred tax asset. I will create a deferred tax asset. So Bibhu, this hand trick is applicable here also, right? Provided if you understood the concept, this hand trick will work here also. Or vice versa. Since today you have earned losses, tax losses, right? So tomorrow your taxable profit will go down. So this is also deductible temporary differences, right? So दोनों तरफ से समझ में आ गया? या दोनों तरफ से समझ में आया, नहीं आया?
आया सर.
So Geeta, is that clear to you?
No, sir.
Deferred tax asset is equal to your 4 crore multiply by what? Multiply by tax rate of 30%. 30%. So it is equal to 1.2 crores, right? Okay. Clear? I hope it is clear to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Clear.
Okay. So friends, we discussed unused tax losses and unused tax credit. The concept is probable, right? So how much taxable profit is probable, according to which your tax losses can be utilized, as simple as that. If your tax losses cannot be utilized, you will not create a deferred tax asset. Okay. So this is what we discussed. Yes. Okay. So deferred tax asset for the carry forward of unused tax losses and unused tax credits to the extent it is probable that future taxable profit will be available against which they can be utilized. An entity should consider all current information about the availability of expected future taxable profit. It talks about that if you are creating a deferred tax asset, right? As an auditor, how will you review? As a management, how will you demonstrate? So you have to consider all the current information for making a projection about the future taxable profit. Okay. The existence of unused tax losses is a strong evidence that future taxable profit may not be available, right? So as a devil's advocate, right? So why it is important that you have to create a robust projection? Why? Because like, have you heard about these kind of words when parent says that तुम्हारे अभी नंबर अगर 50-60% आ रहे हैं तो फिर 10th 12th में क्या ही आएंगे? Have you heard about this kind of statement? If he
Yes,
is not
sir.
able to pass in the lower classes, how he will pass in the higher classes? Means his current performance is a reflection of the future performance also, right? So standard says that the existence of unused tax losses is a strong evidence that future taxable profit may not be available, and hence the company has to consider all current information about availability of future taxable profit, and that is why the standard says that if it is probable that the future taxable profit will be available, then only deferred tax asset will be recognized to that extent. Okay, is that clear?
Clear.
Friends, and what you will consider in assessing the probability the unused tax losses or credit will or can be utilized. So whether it is probable the entity will have taxable profit before the unused tax losses or unused credits expire, right? Like what we covered here in my last example. So 4 crore, on 4 crore we have created a DTA. On remaining 6 crore, why we have not created? Because it will expire. So that future taxable profit has to be available before the time period of the loss will expire, right? उसके बाद फायदा क्या? आप कह रहे हो सर 8 साल के बाद तो बहुत प्रॉफिट्स आएंगे. So the company has create a projection for next 10 year. and the company has found that in 9th and 10th year the company will have windfall profits. Will you create a deferred tax asset on the carry forward losses?
No, they have already expired.
They have already expired, right? So it has to be within an expired period. The availability of the profit has to be within an expired period. Whether the unused tax losses result from identifiable causes which are unlikely to recur, right? So whether the unused tax losses result from identifiable causes which are unlikely to recur, you need to see why I have the losses. Do I have the losses due to those situation which is not likely to recur, right? वो दोबारा repeat नहीं होगी. You told that, then you are replying, see, I am a good student and in this exam I got sick. Okay, I was keeping unwell. That is why my marks are less. Otherwise, my marks will be good. Okay, so that's how it is saying that, because when you create a deferred tax asset on unused tax losses, I mean to say carry forward losses, the auditor will ask you so many questions, right? So you have to have a very good demonstration. In that case, you have to create a very good documentation. Okay. And it also asks that whether tax planning opportunities are available to create taxable profit in the period in which the unused tax losses or unused tax credit can be utilized. So friends, whether the company has a tax planning strategy, the company is saying that I will have a taxable profit in future. I will have a taxable profit in future. Okay. How come I will receive the taxable profit in future? I will do some tax planning strategy. I will do some tax planning strategy, right? So if the company will do some tax planning strategy and the company will incur some cost also on the tax planning strategy, standard says that the deferred tax asset has to be recognized to the extent the taxable profit will be available by the tax planning strategy. So the taxable profit which is arising from the tax planning strategy minus cost of implementing the tax planning strategy, minus cost of implementing the tax planning strategy, right? Have you understood this point or you haven't understood? So let me put an example on this. Let me put an example on this. Okay. Example. Same example, let me take. The company has a taxable loss of 10 crore in FY 24-25. The company is probable that it will be able to generate taxable profit in next 5 years, by implementing a tax planning strategy, right? It will be able to generate taxable profit next 5 years by implementing a tax planning strategy. Okay. By implementing a tax planning strategy able to generate in next 5 years for amounting to aggregating to rupees 8 crores by implementing a tax planning strategy. Okay. Implementing a tax planning strategy. The cost of implementing the tax planning strategy, the cost of implementing the tax planning strategy will be rupees 50 lakhs. So basically the company wants to show the taxable profit, and that is why the company is doing some strategy. The company is doing some tax planning. Okay. And the cost of implementing the strategy will be 50 lakh rupees. So the question is, what is the tax rate is 30%. Advise that a treatment of deferred tax in the books for FY 24-25. So friends, tell me how much deferred tax asset will be recognized in this case. So DTA
2.25 crore.
will be recognized on the amount which is will be recognized to the extent it is probable that future taxable profit will be available. In case of tax planning strategy, DTA will be recognized to the extent of taxable profit arised from tax planning strategy net of the cost of implementation, right? In case of tax planning strategy, DTA will be recognized to the extent of what? To the extent of taxable profit arising from the tax planning strategy net of cost of implementation. Right? So in this case, what is my taxable loss? Taxable loss is 10 crore. But on how much amount I will recognize my deferred tax asset? My DTA will be my tax planning future. So taxable. So expected taxable profits. How much? 8 crores. 8 crores. Less cost of implementation. How much? Cost of
50
implementation
lakhs.
is
50 lakhs.
0.50 crores. Right? 50 lakhs, na? 0.5 crores. So net amount
7.5.
net amount is 7.5 crores. Tax rate. What is my tax rate? 30%.
30%.
Okay. So what is my deferred tax asset? So this is a deductible temporary differences, right? 7.5 multiplied by 30%. 2.25 crore. What is the accounting entry? Accounting entry क्या पास करूंगा? Deferred tax asset account. आप लोग फटाफट एंट्री तो बताओ. डेबिट टू, ये वो भी नहीं
Deferred tax
बतानी.
expense.
टू डेफर्ड टैक्स एक्सपेंस. एक्सपेंस को क्रेडिट किया, इसका क्या मतलब है? टू डेफर्ड टैक्स
Income.
इनकम. Okay. I hope you will get the benefit by these examples. So I am giving you comprehensive kind of example, right? You can see. Okay, it's not a very small examples. So while it's a conceptual example, okay, when you read this example, you will be able to understand this, right? So whenever the question in exam will ask you that the company is foreseeing the taxable profit of, let's say, X amount by implementing the tax planning, by doing the good tax planning, okay? For example, so basically the consultant, you guys, when you become chartered accountant, you'll advise the company, please route this transaction from Dubai, right? In that case, you will get some taxable profit. But if you have to route this transaction through Dubai, you will incur some cost also, right? You will incur some cost also. Like, for example, if you have to generate taxable profit, so basically the tax councils, the tax lawyers, or the tax professionals are advising the company that what you can do, you can send your one of the staff to Cayman Island. Okay, it's a place, Cayman Island, and your staff will work from there, and you will get a benefit, or you will have to do this. So basically, they are asking you to implement a tax planning strategy. For implementing a tax planning strategy, there will be some cost. So net, when you need to create a deferred tax asset, you need to look net, right? You need to look net, not the what? Not the complete amount which you are forcing from the tax planning strategy. Okay. Yes. So friends, let me take you to the illustration number 7. Illustration number 7. Or should I, let's say, snip this illustration number 7 from, just a minute, just give me a second, friends. This is your, let me snip this from, can you see the illustration number 7? Illustration number
Yes.
7? Yeah.
Yes.
On my Excel file, or where? On my
Excel
Excel
file.
file, right? This is illustration number 7 from where? This is from ICAI study material. An entity has a deductible temporary differences of 50,000 rupees. An entity has a deductible temporary differences of 50,000 rupees. Okay. It has no taxable temporary differences against which it can offset. तो क्या करेंगे? इस डिडक्टिबल टेम्पररी डिफरेंसेस में डीडीए बनाएंगे. Reading the first two lines. The entity is also not anticipating any future profit, guys. अगर फ्यूचर प्रॉफिट ही नहीं होगा तो ये यूटिलाइज कैसे होगा? तो डीटीए बनाएंगे नहीं बनाएंगे?
No.
Why you guys are so slow? सिंपल है ना. डेफर्ड टैक्स एसेट कब बनाते हैं? जब उसकी रिकवरी. एसेट कब बनाते हैं? जब उसका फ्यूचर इकोनॉमिक बेनिफिट प्रोबेबल हो. डेफर्ड टैक्स एसेट भी तभी बनाओगे ना जब फ्यूचर में रिकवरी पॉसिबल हो. फ्यूचर में रिकवरी कैसे आएगी? फ्यूचर में रिकवरी कैसे आएगी?
Taxable profits.
जब टैक्सेबल प्रॉफिट होंगे तभी तो सेट ऑफ होगा ना. राइट. लाइक आई हैव गिवन यू एन एग्जांपल दैट 1 करोड़ का कैरी फॉरवर्ड लॉस है, अगले साल में 3 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट है. अगर ये लॉस नहीं होता तो 3 करोड़ के प्रॉफिट पे 90 लाख का टैक्स देना पड़ता. लेकिन आपने जब 1 करोड़ के लॉस पे डेफर टैक्स एसेट बनाया तो आपके 1 करोड़ के लॉस की वजह से आपको 2 करोड़ पे टैक्स देना पड़ा. तो आप 1 करोड़ पे क्या बनाओगे? डेफर टैक्स बनाओगे, एसेट बनाओगे 30 लाख रुपीस का. राइट. और ये कैसे ऑफसेट होगा? फ्यूचर में ऑफसेट होगा. ओके. So will not create any deferred tax asset. Reading the first two lines. Then, however, it can implement a tax planning strategy. However, it can implement a tax planning strategy which can generate profits up to rupees 60,000. The cost of implementing this tax planning strategy is 12,000. The cost of implementing this tax planning strategy is 12,000. Tax rate is 30%. Compute the deferred tax asset that should be recognized. बताइए कितना deferred tax asset recognize करेंगे? First of all, the DTA should be recognized to the extent of what? 60,000 rupees or 60,000 minus 12,000?
60,000 minus 12,000, 48,000.
48,000. Very good. So, in this case of tax planning strategy, DT will be recognized to the extent of taxable range this. So 60,000 and this is 12,000, right?
12,000.
$60,000, 12,000. What is the tax rate given in the question?
30%.
DTA, DTL, right?
Okay.
DTL बनाएंगे, right?
DTA.
DTA, yes, DTA. Okay. So guys, इस टैक्स प्लानिंग स्ट्रेटेजी से अभी आपको क्या बनाना है? आपको लॉसेस पे आपको डेफर टैक्स बनाना है, राइट? और कब बनाओगे? व्हेन इट इज प्रोबेबल दैट सच लॉसेस कैन बी यूटिलाइज्ड। लॉसेस कब यूटिलाइज होंगे? जब फ्यूचर में,
जब प्रॉफिट होगा।
जब प्रॉफिट होगा। और यहां पर क्या कहता है कि कंपनी को कोई उम्मीद नहीं है प्रॉफिट होने की, लेकिन एक रास्ता है, एक रास्ता है। अगर कंपनी उस रास्ते पे चले तो प्रॉफिट आ सकता है, पर उस रास्ते पे चलने की एक कॉस्ट है। तो सिंपल क्या है? आपको आपको अगर डेफर्ड टैक्स एसेट बनाना है, आपको अगर लॉसेस को यूटिलाइज करना है, तो आप क्या करोगे? उस रास्ते पे चल के जो बेनिफिट आएगा, सिर्फ बेनिफिट लोगे या बेनिफिट नेट ऑफ कॉस्ट लोगे?
Net of cost.
नेट ऑफ कॉस्ट लेंगे।
Net.
So my dear friends, if you guys are not clear on deferred tax asset, then please let me know. I will again repeat, I will again explain. Are you clear on the concept of a deferred tax asset? The deferred tax asset has to be recognized on the deductible temporary difference. Deferred tax liability has to be recognized on the taxable temporary difference, right? So what is meant by temporary differences? Temporary differences means due to the provisions in income tax, some income and expenses are going to be taxed or going to be deducted in future. Okay. So friends, in this case, if you see in this particular case, what is happening? The company has a loss. The company has a deductible temporary difference of 50,000. But this will only be recognized when the company will have a probability of future taxable profit, right? The company does not, but the company has a way that opting that way, the company can generate a taxable profit of 60,000 rupees. But for opting that way, for opting that route, the company has to spend a cost of 12,000 rupees also. So the net benefit which will come from that route is 48,000 rupees only. So we'll create a deferred tax asset on 48,000 rupees. DTA, not DTL. Friends, ये जो आप क्रिएट कर रहे हो ना, ये आप 50,000 रुपीज पे क्रिएट कर रहे हो, जो आपका टैक्स लॉस है, जो आपका डिडक्टिबल टेम्पररी डिफरेंस है। ओके। What happens
Yeah.
if this would be 70,000? What happened instead of, let's say, in the same question, let's say, in this question, everything remains same except by tax planning strategy. The company will have a profit, taxable profit of rupees 60,000 and cost of implementation is rupees 5,000. Tell me how much deferred tax extending the above question. Tell me how much deferred tax you will create.
60,000 minus 5,000 and 30% comes to 60,500.
60,000 minus 5,000. So 55,000 का 30%, right?
Yes.
आपको जो डेफर टैक्स बनाना है वो किस पे बनाना है? सो डेफर टैक्स यू नीड टू क्रिएट ऑन द फ्यूचर प्रॉफिट्स, और डेफर टैक्स यू नीड टू क्रिएट ऑन द कैरी फॉरवर्ड लॉसेस, ऑन द डिडक्टिबल टेम्पररी डिफरेंसेस विच आर प्रोबेबल टू बी रिकवर्ड। किस पे बनाना है? Are we creating a deferred tax today, or are we creating a deferred tax in future?
Today.
Today. You are taking a decision today. So question क्या था? You guys have digressed with the question. Question क्या था? an entity has a deductible temporary difference of 50,000 rupees. Today, on reporting date, it has no taxable profit against which it can be offset. Entity is not anticipating any future profit. Then it has a tax planning strategy, and you are required to advise, compute, tax rate is 30%, compute the deferred tax asset that should be recognized. So 50,000 रुपए का डिडक्टिबल टेम्पररी डिफरेंस है, राइट? तो आज ही आप 55,000 रुपए पे कैसे बनाओगे डेफर्ड टैक्स एसेट?
It would be maximum 50,000.
It would be maximum to the extent of 50,000. My dear students, my dear small students, tell me one thing. Today, in your tax return, you have a loss of 5,000 rupees. How much you are going to offset in future? 5,000 rupees.
Right?
Today you have a loss of 5,000 rupees. Tomorrow you will have a profit of 1 crore rupees. My dear friend, how much you will offset in the 1 crore profit? 5,000 rupees only.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So on this carry forward of losses, on this deductible temporary differences, maximum, what is the amount on which you will create a deferred tax asset?
50,000.
5,000 rupees. In my example, 5,000 rupees. In this
5,000.
example, in this illustration, 50,000 rupees. So that is why, just to confuse you guys and to clarify to all of you, my dear friends, don't go by कि कितने फ्यूचर में प्रॉफिट अवेलेबल होंगे. फ्यूचर तो अनसर्टेन है. फ्यूचर में तो 500 करोड़ के प्रॉफिट अवेलेबल होंगे, बट आपको तो 50,000 पे, आपको तो डिसीजन 50,000 पे लेना है. यू नीड टू टेक अ डिसीजन ऑन 50,000 रुपीज. In future, profits may be available for 500 crore rupees, right? But you have to take a decision 50,000 rupees. So answer is net amount is this much. But so in this case, DTA will be recognized only to the extent of deductible temporary difference, right? Right?
Right.
Difference, that is 50,000 rupees. I hope you got benefited by this example. Otherwise, आप 55,000 पे बना देते.
Yes.
50,000, right? So your DTA will be created on this amount. Okay, right? So we discussed this, my dear friends. Okay, so in last class we discussed these steps. Okay, compute the carrying amount of assets and liabilities, compute tax base of assets and liabilities, compute temporary differences, determine the tax rate which is substantively enacted by end of the reporting period. ये बताया था मैंने आपको.
Yes.
बताया था ना. इस पे हमने क्वेश्चन भी किया था, एक डिटेल्ड क्वेश्चन किया था. And just to your happiness, let me tell you, I have fine-tuned this entire working. Can you see these nice tables with blue colored? So I will share this file with all of you, right? So after the class, I have just fine-tuned this. Example was same, everything is same, content is same, just I have inserted the tables, okay? So friends, let's do one question on the tax rate, also. So let me take you to the StudyMate illustration number 8. Illustration number 8. Okay. Yeah. A Limited recognizing, or let me do one thing. Let me go to my Excel file only. Illustration number 8. I'll use the separate this. Yes, friends. So illustration number 8 is on tax rate. Okay. Just allow me a minute. I just want to help you guys. Yes. This illustration number 8. Illustration number 8 is on tax rate. Okay. Yeah. Can you please read this question? A Limited recognizes. I hope my Excel file is visible to all of you. It is
Yes,
visible,
visible.
na? Okay. X Limited recognizes. A Limited recognizes interest income in its books on accrual basis. Books में तो accrual basis पे ही होता है, right? However, for income tax purposes, the method is cash basis. However, for income tax purposes, the method is cash basis. Means income tax don't know this accrual. Income tax says that whenever you will get the interest, whenever you will realize the interest, then I will only charge the tax, right? So for example, the company was having a fixed deposit of 1 lakh rupee and 10% is the rate of interest. So what is the accrual which is going to be recognized in accounting books?
10,000 into 10%.
10,000 rupees. What is the accounting entry? Accrued interest asset account debit to interest income account, right? So what is the carrying amount? 10,000 rupees. What is the carrying amount of accrued interest? 10,000 rupees. What is the tax base of accrued interest at the end of the first year? What is the tax base of the accrued interest? Tax base क्या होगा?
Zero.
Tax base is 0. So this asset carrying amount is 10,000. Tax base is 0. What you need to create? Carrying amount is 10,000. Tax base is 0.
Deferred tax asset.
Sanjay,
We have
what
to
do you need to
decrease.
do? DTL. So Sanjay, just think about this is your accounting books. Sanjay, what is the value of the asset in the accounting books?
10,000.
What is the value of the asset in the
Zero.
tax books? 0.
Zero.
So Sanjay, you need to align. You need to align accounting and tax. You need to do the adjustment in accounting books. So what
Yes.
you will do? You will reduce your asset.
Reduce. Yes.
आप देखो ना, आप डायरेक्शन देखो. आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? ये कम है ना, टैक्स कम है, तो आपको
Yes, I got
नीचे लाना पड़ेगा ना संजय.
Right.
So your asset
Got
will
it.
be reduced. What is meant by reduction of asset, Sanjay?
Sir, liability. Creating liability. Yes.
Liability, DTL. और संजय आप वैसे भी सोचो, आपका इनकम आप ले रहे हो बुक्स के अंदर, ओके, बट टैक्स वाला क्या कहता है? टैक्स वाला कहता है इकट्ठा ही मैं टैक्स करूंगा फ्यूचर में. कब करूंगा? जब इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा. When I will get the interest. Okay. So what does it mean, Sanjay? It means the tax has to be payable in
Future.
Yes. On this income which I've already accrued in my books of accounts, right?
Right.
So it is
So
a
there
DTL.
will be a liability.
It's a liability.
Yes.
Okay. So if it is a DTL, then which kind of difference is this? Deductible or taxable? DTL है तो कौन सा डिफरेंस होगा? टैक्सेबल टेम्पररी डिफरेंस. ओके. और DTA होता है तो कौन सा डिफरेंस होता है? डिडक्टिबल टेम्पररी डिफरेंसेस. इज दैट कंप्लीटली क्लियर?
क्लियर.
संजय आपको क्लियर है ना? बिकॉज आप 2-3 बार कंफ्यूज हो चुके हैं. क्लियर है ना आपको? या
क्लियर ना? यस, आई एम क्लियर.
ओके, वेरी गुड. However, for income tax purposes, the method is cash basis. On 31st December 2001, it has interest receivable of rupees 10,000 and the tax rate was 25%. So on this DTL was created, and DTL, what is the value of the DTL? Temporary differences is 10,000 multiplied by 25%, 2,500. Okay. On 28th February, the finance bill is introduced in the legislation that changed the tax rate to 30%. On 28th February, the finance bill was introduced. Okay. And the tax rate is changed from 25% to 30%. The finance bill is enacted as Act on 21st May 2002. And this finance bill got enacted also on 21st May. Discuss the treatment of deferred tax in case the reporting date of a limited financial statement is 31st December. In this case, what is the reporting date? 31st December or 31st March?
31st December, sir.
31st December. In this case, 31st December. Okay. So friends, what was the tax rate which was applicable, which was known on the reporting date?
It is 25%.
25%. And the tax rate of 30% was enacted subsequently. What is that? 30%, right? After the reporting date. And it got approved after the reporting date. Approved means it become act after the reporting date. So what I have told you guys, मैंने आप लोगों को क्या बताया था? आपको सब्सटेंटिवली
You shall
इनेक्टेड रेट
consider
कब कंसिडर करना है?
when it is substantially enacted
When it is substantially enacted before reporting date.
before reporting it.
Before reporting date. In this case, reporting date is 31st December, right? Instead of 28th February, if this rate has been introduced in the month of December, means prior to 31st December, I would have taken this rate. But since it has been enacted after 31st December, I will not consider this rate, and I will what I will do? What I will do?
Take
I will
25%.
I will recognize at 25% only. But of course, I will disclose this rate. I will disclose this disclosure in the where? Where I disclose?
NCLs just when they are
In,
approved.
in the notes to accounts. I will
Notes to
disclose
accounts.
in the notes to accounts. Okay. I will disclose the same in the notes to accounts. This is what is written in your study mate also. Let's see this. The difference of 10,000 between the carrying value of interest receivable of 10,000 and its tax base is nil, is a taxable temporary differences. A Limited has to recognize a DTL of 2,500, 10,000 multiplied by 25% in its financial statement for the reporting period ended on this date. It will not recognize the deferred tax liability at the rate of 30% because as on 31st December 2001, this tax rate was neither substantively enacted or enacted on the reporting date, right? However, if the effect of the change is material, A Limited should disclose this difference in the financial statement. Is that clear, my dear friends?
Yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely clear.
Absolutely clear.
Okay,
Absolutely
great.
crystal clear, sir.
So we covered illustration number 7, we covered illustration number 8, we covered 2 illustration as well, right? Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect, sir.
Okay. So friends, it's 8:19 now. Let's have a 11 minutes break and we'll start at 8:31. Okay. With the new concept of business combination. But whatever I've covered so far, is that clear? 2, 3 questions, 4 questions we have taken, right?
Clear.
वो सब आपको समझ आ गया ना?
Yes, clear.
ये सब आपको समझ में आ गया?
Yes.
Deferred tax treatment in case of permanent difference, unused tax losses and credits, tax planning strategies. Okay. Yes.
Right.
So we'll
Yes.
start at 8:31. Okay. Yeah. So friends, now let's discuss another case of business combination, right? Deferred tax treatment, deferred tax treatment in case of business combination. You understand business combination? Means merger, acquisition, okay? Deferred tax treatment in case of business combination. So what it talks about deferred tax treatment in case of business combination. You understand business combination. For example, X Limited acquired Y Limited. Okay, so when X Limited acquired Y Limited, so in that case, what will happen? So X will recognize the net assets of Y Limited. Yes or no? X क्या करेगा? Y Limited के net assets को recognize करेगा. So X will recognize net assets of Y Limited on the basis of fair value. On the basis of fair value. Okay. So वो उसकी fair value पे करेगा. So whether tax admits fair value, whether tax consider fair value, tax does not consider fair value. Tax says that I don't know about the fair value for me. For example, if A Limited has acquired B Limited and the value of the land in the books of the B Limited was, let's say, 10 crore. The carrying value was 10 crore. Okay, the cost was 10 crore. The cost of the land in the books of A Limited was 10 crore. But when A Limited acquired B Limited, of course, this acquisition has to happen at fair value. And the fair value of the land is, for example, the fair value of the land become 50 crores. It become 50 crores. Okay. So friends, A Limited will pay, or this entity acquirer will pay the purchase consideration on the basis of fair value. Acquirer will recognize the asset on the basis of acquirer will recognize the net assets on the basis of fair value, right? On the fair value. So the question comes, when there is a difference in the carrying value and fair value, means carrying value in the books of acquiree and the acquirer when recognize these assets on the fair value, there is a difference. Whether on that difference, DTA, DTL has to be created, number one. Number two, when your purchase consideration is higher than your net assets, right? First of all, net assets, whether DTA, DTL will become part of the net assets, whether DTA, DTL will be created on net assets. Number two, what will be the treatment when the purchase consideration is higher than the net assets? What will be the resultant amount? If you have paid 100 crores and if you have paid 100 crores and you have recognized a net assets of 80 crore, so where the resultant 20 crore will go? Where the difference of 20
Goodwill.
crore?
Goodwill.
Goodwill. It will be goodwill.
Reserve.
Have you guys covered this business combination?
No.
You haven't covered yet?
No.
Okay. So, but you must be aware about a concept. For example, if a company is acquiring another company and the company is paying, let's say, 100 rupees. The acquirer is paying 100 rupees. And in lieu of 100 rupees, the acquirer is only getting an asset, net assets. Net assets means total assets minus total liabilities. The acquirer is getting the net assets of 70 rupees. So whatever this acquirer has paid excess of 30 rupees, what is that? That is a goodwill. That is a goodwill, right? This you all are aware, right?
Yes.
You all are aware about this, no? ये goodwill का concept, Naman, Geeta, Leela, you all are aware. Okay? Yes. So this is goodwill. Now question arises, and business combination standard says that in our accounting standard AS14 says that when you are acquiring a business, you have to do a book value accounting, pooling of interest method, right? While fair value was also the option, but largely and primarily the accounting was happening on the pooling of interest method, book value method, correct? आपको याद आ रहा है pooling of interest
Yes.
method, purchase method? I'm not teaching you
Yes.
business combination. I'm just touching those points, okay? So friends, in Ind AS, when you read Ind AS 103, or if you have already read Ind AS 103, in Ind AS says that whenever you are doing a business combination, the net assets has to be recognized at fair value. The net assets has to be recognized at fair value. Okay. Net assets को आपको fair value पे recognize करना है. Okay. So what is the treatment of deferred tax assets and liability? Okay. What is the treatment of deferred tax assets and liability on the net assets acquired, and what is the treatment on the of the deferred tax assets and liability on goodwill as well? Okay. Because the tax does not treat goodwill. Goodwill is not a tax deductible, right? So there will be a temporary differences. अगर टैक्स डिडक्टिबल नहीं है तो टेम्पररी डिफरेंस तो होगा ना, बिकॉज द टैक्स बेस विल बी जीरो इन टैक्स बुक्स, बट in accounting books the goodwill has a value, so there will be temporary differences whether DTL will be created on that. So we need to discuss this. So let's understand with the help of an example, and then I will cover the rule or theory. Example first, I'll cover the example and then I'll give you the rule. A Limited has acquired following assets and liabilities lying in the books of B Limited as at 31st March 2025. Okay. The carrying amount and the fair value arrived at the time of business combination or the time of acquisition is as follows. Building, particulars, carrying amount, fair value. Carrying amount, fair value. Building, machinery, right? Bank balance, okay, and trade creditor. This company already has a deferred tax liability also. Building, all the amounts are in rupees in lakhs. Building has a carrying amount of 50 lakh, fair value of 80 lakh. Machinery has a fair value of 30 lakhs. Sorry, carrying amount of 30 lakh, fair value of 40 lakh. Bank balance 10 lakh carrying amount. What is the fair value of the bank balance?
10 lakhs.
10 lakh only. Trade creditor has a fair value of 15 lakh, carrying amount of 15 lakh, and trade creditor are agreed for 15 lakh only. There is a DTL of, let's say, 5 lakh, and this is a. These are the amounts which are considered. Okay, friends, -130 -1. Friends, now the company A Limited has paid a purchase consideration of rupees. A Limited has purchased consideration of 150 lakhs on this transaction. Compute DTA, DTL, and goodwill and goodwill on this acquisition. Okay, on this acquisition. Question is clear to everyone? A Limited has acquired the following assets and liabilities lying in the books of B Limited as at 31st March 2025. The carrying amount and the fair value arrived at the time of acquisition is as follows. These are the carrying amount, these are the fair value, and A Limited has paid a purchase consideration 150 lakhs on this transaction. Compute DTA, DTL, and goodwill on this acquisition. Is this clear to everyone? This question?
Clear.
Okay, so now let's solve solution. Friends, what is the purchase consideration paid? What is my purchase consideration paid?
150
कितना पे
lakhs.
किया?
150 lakhs.
150 lakhs. Less. Net assets acquired. Less net assets acquired. On which value? On which value?
Fair value.
On fair value. Yes. Net assets acquired on fair value. You have to consider the fair value of net assets. Okay. You have to consider the fair value of the net assets. What is the fair value of the building? Building fair value is 80 lakhs. 4010. This is trade creditors. This is deferred tax liability, right? So what is my value of net assets acquired? My value of
100.
net assets acquired is equal to sum of
110.
What is my goodwill? So where the resultant number will go? Goodwill. What is my goodwill?
40 lakhs.
40 lakh is my goodwill. But tell me one thing, okay? In this question, when I acquired B Limited has a balance sheet, right? B Limited has the value in the books of accounts, okay? And B Limited is paying taxes also. B Limited is filing the tax return also. B Limited is supposed to be adhering the compliances of income tax as well. So when B Limited prepare the balance sheet, right, and wherever temporary differences are there, for example, on building probably in the accounting books depreciation is as per X rule, but in income tax depreciation is as per Y rule. Okay, so in accounting there are some temporary differences, and must be B Limited has created or recognized DTA or DTL on those temporary differences. Yes or no?
Yes.
यही होगा ना बिबू?
Yes.
Yeah, Bibu? Yes or no? Yes. B Limited being an entity, B Limited has also recognized DTA or DTL considering whether taxable temporary differences or deductible temporary differences. So B Limited has also created some or recognized some DTA or DTL. And it is evident also. The DTL of 5 lakh. What is this DTL of 5 lakh? What is the DTL of 5 lakh? On the temporary differences, on the taxable temporary differences of this entity B Limited. B Limited के assets and liabilities पे जो भी taxable temporary differences आया होगा उस पे DTL बना है. Okay. So this DTL is on account of carrying amount in the books versus tax base in the income tax books, right? Carrying amount versus tax base. Is that right? Understanding ठीक है?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Friends, now A Limited has acquired the assets and liabilities of B Limited. A Limited has acquired B Limited. Tell me, by this acquisition, the value of the assets and liability has got changed by this acquisition. Why? Because this acquisition is happening at fair value, and Ind AS principle says that you need to recognize your assets and liabilities at fair value. You need to recognize your assets and liabilities at fair value. Ind AS principle says that. Friends, by this acquisition, whether the income tax books has also changed. Whether in the income tax books, if income tax is considering that the carrying amount of the building which was 50 lakh in B Limited kitabon mein, in the B Limited books, in Income Tax Act, in income tax provision, in tax books, it is lying at 40 lakh, for example. So by this acquisition, whether that 40 lakh will also change, whether the
No.
books of accounts of tax books will also change, whether the tax books will also change.
No, it will not.
What about others? Naman, what's your view? Leela, what's your view? Geeta, what's your view? Whether the number in textbooks will also change by this acquisition?
No, sir.
Absolutely no. Tax department will say that I don't know what is this fair value concept. I don't know. I simple know that this B Limited has been acquired and the value of the assets and liabilities of B Limited as per tax books is XYZ. And I will continue with XYZ. So my dear friends, the difference between carrying amount and the difference between the tax amounts, tax base, you have created a DTL of rupees 5 lakh. When you fair value these assets and liabilities and you record these fair values in your books of accounts as a purchase consideration, as a purchase of net assets, don't you think the difference will be larger? The difference of tax base and these value will go larger, will
Yes.
increase.
Yes, will increase. Yes.
Geeta?
No, sir. Can't understand this.
So Geeta, what I'm explaining here, for example, there was an entity called B Limited. Okay. So B Limited has an asset, for example. B Limited has an asset. So B Limited has a building, for example. Okay. So this building has a carrying amount. This building has a carrying amount of, for example, 50 lakh rupees. Okay. And this building has a tax base of, let's say, 40 lakh rupee, right? So what will be created? What will be there? DTA or DTL? क्या होगा? Carrying amount 50 asset का, tax base 40, तो क्या करेंगे?
DTL less करेंगे.
Less करेंगे, reduce करेंगे, DTL, okay? DTL. And assuming the tax rate is 20%, so 10 lakh is the, so assuming the tax rate is, let's say, 50%, 10 lakh is the variance, 5 lakh will be the DTL, assuming, okay? So what this DTL denotes? ये DTL क्या बताता है? This DTL shows the difference, temporary difference between carrying amount and tax base, right? Carrying amount and tax base, okay? Now, A Limited has acquired the net assets of B Limited, right? So after acquisition. So A Limited is considering the entire balance sheet of B Limited. A Limited has acquired the complete B Limited, right? So A Limited as a carrying amount for this building, A Limited has considered a fair value. And what is the fair value? Fair value is 80 lakh. Fair value is 80 lakh, right? And let's take the example. What is my temporary differences? DTL is there. What is my taxable temporary difference? 50 minus 40. Assuming tax rate is 30%. What is my DTL? Tax rate is 30%. What is my DTL? This multiply by 30%. 3 lakh, right? So Geeta, after acquisition, this building is valued at 80 lakh. Means in the books of accounts, when A Limited acquired this B Limited, so A Limited is valuing as per 80 lakh rupee. So tell me, this carrying amount is increased from 50 to 80. What will be the tax base? Whether tax base will also change?
No,
tax
sir.
base will change over? Tax base will not change because income tax department will say that no, you haven't purchased, actually you haven't purchased the asset, right? So the thing is, the asset of B Limited will remain as it is. The asset of B Limited will remain as it is. Okay. the asset, and hence the tax base will also remain as it is, right? Tax base will remain as it is. So in this case, what will happen? Of course, DTL will be there. And what is the taxable temporary differences? What is the taxable temporary difference? 40 lakh means how much taxable temporary differences has increased? 30 lakh is increased. ये समझ में आया नहीं आया? कितना बढ़ गया? टैक्सेबल टेम्पररी डिफरेंसेस कितना बढ़ गया? 30 लाख से बढ़ गया ना?
Yes, sir.
तो आपका DTL कितना बढ़ गया? Your DTL is increased by 9
हाँ.
lakh, which is 30% of 30 lakh, right? So, my dear friends, in case of business combination, when you acquire net assets at fair value, then whatever is the difference between the fair value and the carrying value, on that amount you are also required to create a deferred tax asset or deferred tax liability, right? And when you consider this, that is excluding your DTL, because on one portion DTL has also already been created. On the remaining portion DTL is going to be created. And what is that remaining portion? That remaining portion is at the time of acquisition, the difference between the fair value and the carrying amount. And the difference between that carrying amount and the tax base, the DTL has already been created. Yes or no?
Yes.
Sir.
So, yes. Yeah. Any question? Shall I complete this first? So friends, in this case, tell me what is the fair value of the net assets? Tell me what is the fair value of the net assets? What is the fair value of the net assets? कितना है fair value net assets का?
110.
110. Sum of this 110, or what should I do? Just a minute. What is the carrying amount of the net assets?
$70.
While you will do this calculation removing DTL, but even if you will remove or not remove, the answer will remain same, right? Okay. Fair value of the net assets. Let me write excluding DTL. Excluding which DTL? Which was already there in the books. Which was already there. Carrying amount of net assets excluding DTL. So when I exclude DTL, what will be the number?
105 and 65.
So this minus 130 minus 3. And this is 90 minus 15. Okay. So net, your fair value is 115 of the asset and carrying amount of the net asset is 75, right? So assume this carrying amount as a tax base. Assume, because why? Because up to this carrying amount, DTL has already been created, right? So DTL already created. कितना DTL already बना हुआ है? 5 lakh. DTL already created 5 lakh. So friends, how much more DTL needs to be created here? कितना DTL और बनेगा? The difference between, right? So difference between your fair value and your carrying value. Have you got this? ये समझ में आया नहीं आया? अभी मैंने आपको एग्जाम्पल बताया था ना, एग्जाम्पल में मैंने आपको क्या बताया था? एग्जाम्पल में मैंने ये बताया था ना कि उस बी लिमिटेड के कैरिंग अमाउंट और टैक्स बेस पे ऑलरेडी DTL बन चुका है, Now, when you are fair valuing those assets and liabilities, it is creating more DTA DTL. So you have to take a DTA DTL on the balance number, right? So what is my tax rate in this case? What is my tax rate in this case?
30%.
Tax rate is 30%. Tax rate is given or not given? So let's write tax rate is 30%. Okay. So in this case, difference is 40. And on this 40, what will be created? DTA or DTL?
DTL.
DTL. DTL ही होगा ना संजय?
Yes,
Because
DTL.
my asset value is higher than my tax base. So 30%, what is my DTL? My DTL is 40 multiplied by 30%. So what is my total value of DTL? What is my total value of DTL? Tell me. Total value of DTL. मेरे DTL की total value क्या होगी? मेरे DTL की total value होगी DTL already created and DTL created on
12 plus 5, 17.
fair value. DTL created on difference between fair value and carrying amount right, due to acquisition. 12. So what is the total DTL? Total DTL is 17. Total DTL is 17. So friends, in this case, what will happen in this case? Then your DTL also, DTL, right? So you will have a liability also, which is DTL. You will have a liability also, which is DTL. And this is the liability. Okay. Or I should write it like here only. So what is my goodwill? What is my goodwill? Goodwill is 52, right? Goodwill is 52. Have you understood this question of creation of DTA, DTL and calculation of goodwill? Have you understood?
Yes.
Or you haven't
Yes,
understood?
understood.
Geeta?
So understood, but more
So in this case, yeah, sorry.
more practice will need for this.
Yes. So in this case, what will happen? So deferred tax treatment in case of business combination. In case of business combination, the DT deferred tax will be created. Deferred tax will be created on the difference between the fair value of the net assets, and the carrying amount of net assets acquired. And the carrying amount of net assets acquired. Okay, right? And you can see this example. With the help of this example, it will get clear. Now let's come to the one of the question of ICAI study material. I hope ICAI study material is visible. Is it visible?
Visible, yes.
On 1st April 2001, A Limited acquired 12 crore shares, representing 80% stake in B Limited. Right? So you guys find challenging also because probably you have not read Ind AS 103 so far. Okay. But this is Ind AS 103, basic Ind AS 103, which compares the purchase consideration in net assets, right? And resultant number will be goodwill. And when it consider net assets, so what it talks about, it says that the net assets has to be measured at fair value. Purchase consideration has to be measured at fair value. In this question, more complexity of 103 is there, right? So what is the formula of arriving at goodwill or capital reserve? It is purchase consideration paid plus non-controlling interest minus net assets is equal to goodwill or capital reserve. This is the formula in Ind AS 103, right? So let's discuss this question. And this question is more complex than the question which I have already solved in my Excel file, right? So this is a second step. So on 1st April 2001, A Limited acquired 12 crore shares representing 80% stake. Representing 80% stake. Okay. It means it is not a wholly owned subsidiary. It is not a complete acquisition. It means 20% stake is, what?
Non-controlling interest.
Non-controlling interest, minority interest, non-controlling interest. And A Limited acquired 12 crore shares, representing 80% stake. It means what is the total? What is the total value of the shares? What is the
15 crore.
total quantity of the shares?
15 crore.
15 crore. 12 crore divided by 80% will give you 15 crore. So out of 15 crore, how many quantity of share belongs to NCI? 3 crore.
3 crore.
And 12 crore belongs to the parent. And this company acquired 80% stake, means 12 crore share, by means of a cash payment of 25 crore. What is your purchase consideration?
25 crores.
12 crore share, 25 crore. It is the group policy to value the non-controlling interest in subsidiaries at the date of acquisition at fair value. And what is the group policy? To value the non-controlling interest at fair value. When you read Ind AS 103, there are two methods of valuing NCI, right? So one of the method is fair value. Okay. So I'm not going into that. Whatever is written in the question says that NCI has to be measured at fair value. Okay. The market value of an equity share in B Limited, मतलब B Limited के shares की value कितनी है? Can be used for this purpose. And what is the market value of the B Limited share? It was 2 rupee. So what is the value of NCI in this transaction? What is the quantum of NCI share? कितने share है NCI के? 3 crore.
3 crores.
Right. So Leela, are you clear from where this 3 crore has come?
Clear, sir.
Yeah. So parent has 12 crore share and NCI has 3 crore shares. And what is the value? What is the market value? What is the fair value of these shares?
2 rupees.
2 rupees.
2 rupees.
So what is the value of NCI? 3 crore multiplied by 2?
6 crore.
6 crore rupees. 6 crore rupees, right? Okay. So we got the purchase consideration. We got the value of NCI also. Let's move further. On 1st April, the individual financial statement of B Limited showed the net assets at 23 crores. On 1st April 2001, individual financial statement means B Limited के जो financial statement है उसमें carrying amount क्या आ रहा है? 23 crore. And the director of A Limited carried out a fair value exercise to measure the identifiable assets and liabilities of B as on 1st April 2001. The following matter emerged. Property having a carrying amount of 15 crore as on 1st April had an estimated market value of 18 crore. Okay. Plant and equipment having a carrying value of 11 crore had an estimated market value of 13 crore. तो आपका जो ये प्रॉपर्टी है इसकी मार्केट वैल्यू कितनी बड़ी हुई है?
3 crores by
3 crore. So the market value of the property has increased by 3 crore. There is a gap of 3 crore. So 23 crore is the carrying amount of the net assets. And in this 23 crore, 3 crore market value is increased on account of property. Then a 2 crore market value is increased on account of plant and equipment. Then inventory was 2.5 but fair value is 3. Then 50 lakh rupee has been increased on account of inventory, right? Then the fair value adjustment have not been reflected in the individual financial statement of B Limited. It was clarified also that the individual financial statement shows the carrying amount which is pre-acquisition, and this fair values are after acquisition. So in 23 crore, this fair value impact is not there. Okay. In the consolidated financial statement, the fair value adjustment will be regarded as temporary differences for the purpose of deferred tax. The rate of deferred tax is 20%. Assume that the current book value prior to fair value evaluation exercise equals the tax base. So the question is clarified. What question is clarified? Prior to fair valuation, that 23 crore, whatever is the value of net assets, that is equivalent to the tax base. The question is clarified. Okay. Calculate the deferred tax impact on above and calculate the goodwill arising on acquisition of B Limited. I hope this question is clear to all of you. Is that clear or not clear? Please tell me. Question clear है या नहीं है?
Clear.
Illustration 4 of ICAI study material. Okay. So let's solve this question. Let's solve this question. And let's solve this question one by one. Okay. What is my purchase consideration? What is my purchase consideration? कितना पे किया था purchase consideration?
25 CR.
25 CR, 25 crores, rupees in crores. $25 CR is the purchase consideration, right? What is NCI? What is value of NCI? NCI at fair value.
6 crores.
What is the value of NCI? 6 crores. How you arrive at the value of NCI? So the value of NCI is 12 crore are the number of shares, 12 crore, divide by 80%. This will give you the full value of the shares. Multiply by 20% is the NCI value. Multiply by 2 rupee, right? This will give you what? क्या number आएगा?
6 crores.
So 12 divided by 80%, 6 crores, right? So purchase consideration at NCI at fair value less net assets. Net assets acquired. What is the carrying amount of the net assets? What is the carrying amount of the net assets? Net assets का carrying amount कितना है? Net assets carrying amount H पर books दिया है ना इसमें? कितना है? Friends, it is given in the question 23 crore. Have you seen this? It is given in the question. It is 23.
Yes, 23 crores. Yes.
So this net, this is 23 crore. It is given in the question 23 crore. Right? 23 crore. Okay. So 23 crore is the net assets. So 23 crore. Then there were some fair valuations are also given. Some fair valuations are also given. So there is a fair valuation.
Why have
There
we
are some
added
fair value
NCI?
differences. Right?
Why have we added NCI at fair value? And why have we added this NCI?
As per Ind AS 103 concept to arrive at a goodwill. Nothing to do with deferred tax calculation, but to arrive at goodwill, this is the formula. So what is the formula of goodwill? Goodwill is equal to purchase consideration plus NCI minus net assets at fair value. ये 103 का formula है.
Okay.
So when you read 103, you will read this formula. So this NCI is nothing to do with your deferred tax. Okay. So this is a formula for arriving at goodwill. This is formula for arriving at goodwill. ठीक है? इसका उससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है. Deferred tax से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. Net assets acquired. So now fair value differences. So there is a fair value differences in the property. Property में क्या difference था fair value का? 18 crore minus 15 crore, right? 18 crore was the fair value and 15 crore was the carrying amount. So 3 crore is the fair value difference. Plant and equipment. What is the difference in the plant and equipment?
13 minus 11.
13 CR minus 11 CR. 2 CR difference, right? What is the difference in inventory? Inventory.
50 lakhs.
Inventory is 3 crore minus 2.5 crore. 50 lakhs. Shall I write 0.5? Entire numbers are in crores, right? So what is my total? What is my total net assets after fair valuation 28.5? Do I need to create a deferred tax also on this? Yes. So my tax base is 23 crore only. So increase in carrying amount will lead to a temporary difference, right? So what is my temporary differences? My temporary difference is 5.5. And all these assets are increased by 5.5. whether DTA will be there or DTL will be there. अरे एसेट्स बढ़े हैं तो क्या बनेगा?
Assets, DTA.
Liabilities.
अगर एसेट्स बढ़ गए हैं किताबों में, टैक्स में तो वही है ना, तो क्या होगा? एसेट्स को कम करेंगे तो क्या बनेगा? DTL बनेगा, लायबिलिटी बनेगी DTL। संजय, क्लियर और नॉट क्लियर?
Getting confused. Yes. Now clear.
So Sanjay, just think, your textbooks are separate, right? Question has told you that whatever is the carrying amount as per individual financial statement, which is 23 crore, that is the tax base also. Okay, that is the tax base also. So Sanjay, if you will increase the value of your assets and liabilities in the books, your value of assets will be increased in the books. What will happen? Your asset will increase, your tax will remain as it is, but your assets will increase due to the fair valuation. So what will you do? You will reduce just to evaluate is it a DTA or DTL, राइट? आप एक्चुअल में टैक्स को कम नहीं कर रहे हो, आप डिसाइड कर रहे हो, उससे आपको आंसर मिल रहा है, अच्छा आपको DTL बनाना है, और किस पे बनाना है? टेम्पररी डिफरेंस पे, राइट? सो ऑन दिस DTL will be created, DTL will be recognized on the temporary difference. What is the temporary differences? So temporary differences is 3 plus 2 plus 0.5 multiply by 20% na? 20% was the tax rate na? I think
20%, yes.
percent, yes. So what is my net assets? What is my net assets at fair value? What is my net assets fair value? My net assets at fair value will be 28.5 minus 1.1, 27.4. Right? So what is my goodwill? What is my goodwill? My goodwill will be purchase consideration plus NCI minus net assets at fair value, 3.6. This will be my goodwill and this will be my deferred tax liability. Okay. Is that clear, my dear friends? ये समझ में आ गया आप लोगों को?
Yes.
या नहीं आया अभी भी? So business combination में क्या होता है? Let me again explain you guys. So when you are acquiring any company, you are revaluing, you are fair valuing their assets and liabilities. That fair value will not change the tax base. उस fair value से टैक्स की किताबों में कोई चेंज नहीं आता, राइट? उस fair value से there is no any change in the tax base. तो क्या होगा उससे? What will happen in that scenario? उससे क्या होगा? उससे the temporary difference will create. A temporary difference will create. And if your net assets is higher, means फेयर वैल्यू करने से आपके नेट एसेट्स ज्यादा हो गए, तो आप क्या करोगे? उस पर डेफर्ड टैक्स लायबिलिटी बनाओगे, उस पर एक रिवर्स साइन का एसेट, उस पर एक रिवर्स साइन का आइटम बनाओगे. रिवर्स साइन का मतलब अगर आपके एसेट्स बढ़ रहे हैं किताबों में तो आप उसकी DTL बनाओगे, अगर आपकी लायबिलिटी बढ़ रही है किताबों में तो DTA बनाओगे, राइट? ऑपोजिट साइन का आइटम बनाओगे, ऑपोजिट साइन का. सो अगर आपके एसेट्स बढ़ रहे हैं तो संजय क्या बनाओगे?
DTL, liability.
और संजय अगर लायबिलिटी बढ़ रही है तो क्या बनाओगे?
DTA.
अगर संजय एसेट्स कम हो रहे हैं तो क्या बनाओगे?
Assets.
कम हो रहे हैं तो क्या बनाओगे? DTA बनाओगे.
DTA.
DTA बनाओगे ना.
Yes.
एसेट्स कम हो रहे हैं तो एसेट्स को बढ़ाओगे.
Yes.
मतलब एसेट्स कम हो रहे हैं तो एसेट्स को बढ़ाओगे ना.
Yes.
और अगर संजय लायबिलिटी कम हो रही है तो क्या बनाओगे? DTL, लायबिलिटी
DTA.
बढ़ाओगे,
Yes.
राइट?
Right.
सिंपल ऐसे याद रखो, अगर एसेट्स बढ़ गए हैं तो एसेट्स को कम करोगे तो क्या बनाओगे? DTL. लायबिलिटी अगर बढ़ गई है तो लायबिलिटी को क्या करोगे? कम करोगे तो क्या बनाओगे? DTA. रिडक्शन ऑफ लायबिलिटी मींस DTA ना.
Yes.
या सो अगर एसेट्स कम हो गए तो क्या करोगे? एसेट्स को बढ़ाओगे तो DTA. अगर लायबिलिटी कम हो गई तो क्या करोगे? लायबिलिटी को बढ़ाओगे तो DTL. ओके, क्लियर?
Right.
नॉट
Clear.
क्लियर?
Clear. Clear. Clear.
So friends, this was an item on the business combination, right? So since this standard requires, some amount of knowledge of the other standard also, right? So when you understood the other standard, like the standard also talks about the employee stock option. What is the accounting? What is the tax treatment in case of employee stock option? So have you understood that employee stock option? Ind AS 102 was it covered?
Yes, covered. Yes.
Ind AS 102 was covered, right? So let's discuss in the case of employees share-based payment transaction. Okay. So this will be the last concept. And friends, today I will conclude the session by 9:30. Okay, because of some urgency. Okay. I've already told ICAI. Yes. Share-based payment. Deferred tax treatment in case of share-based payments. Let me explain this concept with the help of this illustration number 5, and then I'll come to the theory. On 1st April 2001, P Limited had granted 1 crore share options worth rupees 4 crore fair value subject to a 2-year vesting period. What is the vesting period? 2 year. What is the number of share? 1 crore. And what is the fair value? 4 crore. And as per Ind AS 102, this employee stock option plan, like equity settled share-based payment, cash settled share-based payment, these has to be measured at fair value, right? The income tax law permits a tax deduction at the exercise date of the intrinsic value of the option. So when you issue a scheme, when you grant some options, you start recognizing an expense to ESOP reserve, right? You recognize ESOP expense account debit to ESOP reserve over the vesting period. For example, today the company has announced a scheme. So today is the grant date. And if the employee will serve 2 years, employee will be able to exercise those options. Okay. So what you will do at the date of grant date fair value, for example, number of options are 1 crore, multiply by, for example, 4 rupees the fair value of the grant. So 1 crore multiply by 4 rupee divide by vesting period. So this expense has to be recognized over the vesting period. Okay. If 2-year vesting period is there, 4 crore is the total fair value on the grant date. So 2 crore has to be recognized in the first year and 2 crore has to be recognized in the second year. Is that clear? As per Ind AS 102. Okay. Friends, Income Tax Act says that whatever you are amortizing, whatever you are recognizing over the vesting period, I don't know. What I will allow you? I will allow you what? I will allow you this expense first on the value on the basis of intrinsic value. Second, on the basis of intrinsic value. Second, at the time of exercise of the grant, not at the time of vesting of the grant. जब exercise होगा तब allow करेंगे. The intrinsic value of the option on 31st March 2 was 1.6 crore and on 31st March 3 was 4.6 crore. So intrinsic value is given as on 31st March 2 and 31st March 3. The increase in fair... So intrinsic value, basically, it's a different kind of a fair value. Intrinsic value is just like a book value kind of. Okay, book value. And fair value consider a lot of factors. Okay. So earlier in accounting standard days, in employee share-based payment, the guidance note was there which talks about intrinsic value. But Ind AS talks about fair value. So in income tax, still intrinsic value is there. Okay. So this will be given in the question. The increase in the fair value of the option on 31st March 2003 was not foreseeable at 31st March 2. So this increase in fair value of the option was not foreseeable. The option were exercised on 31st March 2003. Given the accounting for above transaction for deferred tax for the period ending 31st March 2 and 31st March 3, assume that there are sufficient taxable profit available in future against any deferred tax asset. Tax rate of 30% is applicable to P Limited. You are required to compute DTA and DTL on 31st March 2002 and 31st March 2003. Right. Friends, first of all, what is the value? What is the value of this? What is the value of this asset and liability? What is the value of asset and liability of share-based payment? Equity settled share-based payment. Is there any asset which is going to be created? Is there any liability which is going to be created? The entry is ESOP expense account debit, equity settled shares expense account debit to ESOP reserve account. So what is the carrying amount of asset in this case? In the case of share-based payment transaction? 0. Carrying amount is 0. नहीं है ना, एसेट तो नहीं है ना कोई. क्या शेयर बेस्ड पेमेंट में कोई एसेट बनता है क्या फ्रेंड्स?
No.
क्या कोई लायबिलिटी बनती है? आप रिजर्व को क्रेडिट करते हो इक्विटी
Reserve.
सेटल्ड शेयर बेस्ड पेमेंट में, राइट? रिजर्व को क्रेडिट करते हो. सो कैरिंग अमाउंट ऑफ एसेट्स एंड लायबिलिटी इज 0, बट in tax books, tax is saying that I will allow on the basis of intrinsic value, right? And what is the intrinsic value of the option? 1.6 crore. If 1.6 crore is the total value, what is the amount at the end of the first year? If I have to pass this, if I have to amortize this in the income tax books, what I'll do? 1.6 crore is the value for 2 years. What is the value for 1 year?
80
0.8
lakhs.
crore.
0.8 crore, yes.
0.8 crore, right? So the tax benefit is calculated as under carrying amount of share-based payment. 1.6 crore divided by 2, 0.8 crore. Tax base of share-based payment. Tax based of so this is your tax. This is your tax base. This is your tax base. This is your carrying amount. ये उल्टा लिखा हुआ है. ये उल्टा लिखा है. Your carrying amount will be 0. Your tax base will be 0.8 crore. 1.6 is your tax base, right? So what is my temporary difference? My temporary difference is 0.8 crore. Always remember, on share-based payment, always deferred tax asset will be created. Why? Carrying amount of the asset is 0. What is the tax base of the asset at the end of the first year? 80 lakh. 80
lakhs.
Right? So what we are required to do in the accounting books? My accounting books, my asset is 0. My asset is lower. तो क्या करूंगा? Increase करूंगा. I need to increase my asset. So what I'll create?
Asset, deferred tax asset.
So DTA has to be recognized on 31st March to 0.8 multiplied by 30%, 0.24 crore. Deferred tax asset account debit to deferred tax expense. Okay, to deferred tax expense. What will happen on 31st March 2003? The option have been exercised and a current tax benefit will be available to the entity for 4.6 crore. Right? So whatever you have recognized earlier, you will reverse that because now the actual benefit will pass on in the current tax. तो जो भी आपने पहले बनाया था, अब उसको deferred tax को reverse कर दो, right? So this is the accounting in case of share-based payment transaction. Okay. So in case of share-based payment in accounting books, the carrying amount of equity settled.
Excel is not visible.
अच्छा. In accounting books, the carrying amount of equity settled share-based payments are always 0. Always 0. Okay. The carrying amount of equity settled share-based payment, asset and liability are always 0. Tax base will be computed on the basis of what? Intrinsic value at the end of every year of unexpired life of vesting. Is that clear? Unexpired life of vesting means like 2-year option was there, 1.6 crore was the intrinsic value. So what we did at the end of the first year, 1.6 divided by 2. into 1 divided by 2. Okay. This has given me at the end of the first year 80 lakh rupee, right? And DTA will be recognized on this temporary difference. DTA will be recognized on this temporary difference. Friends, have you understood this share-based payment treatment? Always DTA will be there. Okay. Always DTA will be there. And refer illustration number what? Which illustration? I have shown you the illustration number 5, which we have covered, right? Illustration number 5. Refer illustration 5 of ICAI study. Okay, which we have solved. So friends, these all things we have covered today with some questions as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session, and now the time has come to conclude the session due to some urgency, right? Yes.
Sorry, sir. I just wanted to address students.
Okay, sure, ma'am. So, ma'am, can I log out?
Ha, sir. You do it. I'll just sum up the class.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, students. Thank you very much. And I will share this Excel file and PPT to ICAI, and they will share that. Please use this Excel file for your revision, right? It has all the concepts clarified with the help of detailed examples. Okay. All the concept, this Excel file will give you complete conceptual clarity, and the practice, like we did in this Excel file also, the practice of the question will help you in solving the question in exam, right? And this is a complete question on deferred tax with many examples. So this is with disclosure and presentation as well. Okay. So please also refer this example for recognition, measurement, presentation, and disclosure of deferred tax in the financial statement. Okay. So this is a complete example we discussed in the slides. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
And students, hope you are going through the revisionary classes as well. So we are also having our revisionary classes, and we would like to request everybody that please go through these classes also, especially those who are going to attempt in January 26 examination. Okay. Any questions, students, you want to ask, you can ask me. Leela, Bibhu, Naman, Sanjay, Geeta, any question which you have, you just ask me. I'll be there to reply you. Okay. I'm there. Any question, anybody wants to ask something beyond the lecture, within the lecture, or something in general with respect to financial reporting, you may please ask. This is a forum.
Revisionary classes are being conducted at the same time?
Yes, it is on the same time, 7 to 10, but classes for financial reporting are on Wednesday and Friday. So it is 7 to 10, Wednesday and Friday. It is going in parallel with LVC also. So LVC we have on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for financial reporting. And Wednesday and Friday we have a revisionary class for financial reporting.
So we can watch them as recorded lectures. We can watch them.
Revisionary classes are also, yes, revisionary classes are also available in your on YouTube. You can go through that also. But Sanjay, are you going to appear for this January examination?
No, not in January. May 26.
Okay. Then we'll be again having revisionary classes for May also. We'll be having revisionary classes for May as well.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. But it is better that since you are going to attempt in May 26 examination, so you can continue with your live virtual classes, because it is very necessary that in first go you should cover your syllabus, entire syllabus, and then go for revision. Okay. So for revisionary classes, May 26 will be having revisionary classes. So those who are going to attempt in May 26, they can wait for that. Huh? No need to be just overload yourself with so many classes. It is always advised you take the classes only for those subjects where you feel that you cannot do self study, or you need proper guidance. Okay. Some questions, because see, it is very necessary. It is not possible for those who are going to attempt for both the groups to go for all the 6 classes or all the 5 subjects in one go. So you have to take care of you start your studies well in time, and also to distribute the subjects which you are going to continue in one go. Okay, so accordingly, just don't overload yourself with revisionary classes as well as live virtual classes. Just take your time for your relaxation and also for your practice on your own. That is very necessary. Any other student who wants to ask something?
मैम जैसे एक चैप्टर हो गया और उसका अगर अपन को टेस्ट देने तो फिर दे सकते हैं अपन ऐसे कहाँ पे?
वी डू नॉट हैव, देखो बेटा अभी ऐसा कोई प्रोविजन नहीं है हमारे पास कि एक आप करें और उसका हम फिर आपको कोई एग्जाम करा दें। ये जो मॉक टेस्ट होंगे, ये मॉक टेस्ट में आप कर सकते हैं। अगर आपको इस तरह से लगता है ना कि एक चैप्टर हो गया तो हमने लास्ट में कुछ प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चंस कर रखे हैं, तो प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चंस एंड ऑफ द स्टडी मटेरियल में एवरी मॉड्यूल में दिए हैं, वो आप एज अ कंप्लीट उस पर चेक कर सकते हैं। और नहीं तो फिर अभी मॉक टेस्ट पेपर्स आपके पास पास अटेम्प्ट के भी होंगे, अभी हम मॉक टेस्ट सीरीज भी शुरू करेंगे, वहां से आप कर सकते हैं। पर आपको ये चैप्टर वाइज वाला टेस्ट नहीं, ऐसा कोई प्रोविजन नहीं है। और एडवाइस भी नहीं है बेटा, ठीक है, वो हम स्कूल टाइम वाली पढ़ाई अब उस तरह से नहीं कर सकते ना, आप प्रोफेशनल कोर्स में हो, तो आपको एक एटलीस्ट एक मॉड्यूल है, एक पर्टिकुलर कुछ तो करके करना ही है ना, एक एक चैप्टर का करने वाला वो वाला स्टेप अब आपको थोड़ा स्किप करना पड़ेगा।
ओके।
और एनीबडी एल्स कुछ पूछना है? एनीबडी? हाँ गीता, टेल मी।
Ma'am, actually, financial instrument, business combination, these chapters are compulsorily coming. But I have means after many years I have joined this, so it is very difficult, very difficult for me to solve these sums. How to do this?
Beta, I understand this. These are very difficult topic, and now in this we are going to start our live virtual classes for business combination and then financial instrument and then business combination. So we have given good number of classes for this, almost 10 classes for financial instrument. We understand that the technicality and the difficulty level of these chapters, so we have allotted more number of classes for these topics. So financial instrument, you'll be, I think from this November only, we are going to start with somewhere around 20th November. You'll be having classes on financial instruments onwards, and 10 classes we are giving for financial instrument. And then thereafter, we'll be having almost 10 to 13 classes, including business combination, your consolidation, India's 27, 28, 111. We'll be having 13 classes for that. So we'll try to cover good number of questions and give you in-depth understanding so that it becomes easy for you. The faculty is also very good and very popular among students for these topics. So I don't think you'll be having a problem. And in case, Geeta, you are facing any problem, we are also having, right now, we are having revisionary classes for these topics only. But in case you are preparing for the first time, then I won't advise you to go for LVRC, because there we are not going with concepts. We are taking questions, and along with the questions, we are taking the concepts, but not first we are explaining the concepts and then questions. So that will not be very useful for you in case you have not studied earlier, because for those revisionary classes, we presume that students have already covered their 1 or 2 rounds of study. Okay, but for this live virtual classes, we are giving you from scratch. We are explaining you everything from the very beginning as you are in an initial stage and you are not prepared for this topic. So go through these classes. We'll be covering this because these live virtual classes are targeting for May 26th now. So we have sufficient time. So from November 20th onward, we'll be having classes for financial instrument. Go through those classes. You'll definitely find, now after going through those classes, you'll find that the topic is very easy for you now. Okay, just go through those classes. I'll be there. I'll try to conclude, and I'll ask you in case you are facing any problem. Like you are talking to me, it is very nice. In fact, I realize that when the faculty leaves, you are more open up to me, na? So I'll do that. I'll ask faculty to leave, and we'll talk personally then, so that we can understand what is your requirement and what exactly you are requiring it. Okay. Any other question, Naman? Yeah, Geeta? Yeah, tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much to BOS and you all both. uh, Doing very good for students, ma'am. Very nice.
You see, we are there to cater to you all only. So definitely, in case you have any problem, we are there to resolve it. So whatever you face any problem, just let us know. We'll try to address that. Na? Okay. Any other query? Naman, Sanjay, Vibhu?
मैं एक बार थोड़ा पेपर 6 के बारे में बता रहा हूँ ना, IBS के बारे में।
पेपर 6 के लिए बेटा मैं फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग देखती हूँ ना, तो पेपर 6 के लिए पेपर 6 की फैकल्टी गाइड करेंगी तो ज्यादा अच्छा गाइड करेंगी। आप वैसे किस तरह की क्वेरी क्या जानना चाहते हो आप पेपर 6 में, बताओ।
ये ओवरऑल 5 सब्जेक्ट की तैयारी करनी है ना हमें,
हाँ
वो
हाँ,
मतलब इन पांचों में से कुछ भी हो सकता है ना उसमें,
ये बेटा सिर्फ
6 में।
5 सब्जेक्ट नहीं है आपके पास, उसके साथ स्पॉम का जो सेल्फ पेस ऑनलाइन मॉड्यूल का सेट ए और सेट बी भी है। आईबीएस के लिए आपको वो भी देखना होता है। आपके पास इंटीग्रेटेड मल्टी क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, आएंगे आपके कहीं ना कहीं। आप मटेरियल में जो आपने पढ़ा उसको हम एक स्टोरी में बुन के, वी जस्ट ट्राई टू मेक अ स्टोरी आउट ऑफ दैट एंड ब्रिंग इट इन अ फॉर्म ऑफ केस स्टडी। सो आपने जो मटेरियल में पढ़ा है उसी तरह से ही क्वेश्चंस आ रहे होंगे, बट आपको मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी होगा एक साथ। ऐसा नहीं कि आप सिर्फ फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग थॉट प्रोसेस में रख लो, आपको सारे सब्जेक्ट्स जो अभी तक आपने पढ़े हैं उनको अप्लाई कैसे एक साथ अगर इंटीग्रेटेडली करना है तो कैसे करोगे। बाकी आपकी जो क्वेरी है ना, तो आई जस्ट सजेस्ट यू 2 ऑप्शंस हैं आपके पास। हमारे पास इंटीग्रेटेड का ओपन हाउस होता है पेपर 6 का, एवरी फ्राइडे होता है ना, तो आपका 6:30 एवरी फ्राइडे वी हैव सेशंस ऑन आईबीएस। उसमें वो केस स्टडीज डिस्कस करते हैं, साथ में आपको कुछ क्वेरी होगी तो हमारी एक बीओएस की फैकल्टी भी होती है उसमें, तो वो आपको एड्रेस कर देंगे। आपको जो भी क्वेरी है ना आप उनसे पूछना, एंड वो बहुत पैशनेट है इस सब्जेक्ट को लेकर, आपको बहुत अच्छे से रिप्लाई करेंगे उस पर, है ना।
ओके मैम।
अगर नहीं है तो दूसरा एक तरीका भी है बेटा, आपको ना व्हाट्सएप पे अपनी क्वेरी डाल दीजिए, आपको आईबीएस के रिगार्डिंग क्या पूछना है वो फैकल्टी को फॉरवर्ड करके उनसे रिप्लाई लेके आपको कर दिया जाएगा, ठीक है।
मैम व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप
व्हाट्सएप पे ज्वाइन है ना, व्हाट्सएप में है आपकी नहीं। एक बीओएस का व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है फाइनल लेवल के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, अगर इन केस आप ज्वाइन नहीं है तो आप बताइए, हम आपको चैट बॉक्स में लिंक देते हैं व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप की। अशोक जी एक बार आप चैट बॉक्स में लिंक डाल दीजिए।
मैम नेटवर्क इशू आ गया था मैम, वो व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप कौन सा है?
हाँ अभी बेटा अशोक जी अभी डाल रहे हैं चैट बॉक्स लिंक में। वो व्हाट्सएप बीओएस का एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है फाइनल लेवल के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए। उसमें आपको हम शेड्यूल्स अपडेट कर रहे होते हैं, बता देते हैं जो भी आपको क्वेरी है, जनरल क्वेरी है, किसी सब्जेक्ट स्पेसिफिक क्वेरी है, आप उसमें डाल सकते हैं और रिस्पेक्टिव फैकल्टी से आपको रिप्लाई लेके दे दिया जाएगा ना। जनरल क्वेरीज भी जो आपको जानना है, मटेरियल नहीं मिला, कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, कब आरटीपी आएगी, कब मॉक टेस्ट, वो सब जो भी आपको पूछना है, जैसे आप अभी मुझसे बात करें वो चीजें आप उसमें भी पूछ सकते हैं, ठीक है।
ओके
अभी
थैंक
आप एक बार चैट बॉक्स में देखो, आया है अशोक जी। हाँ भी एक मिनट आप वेट करो बेटा, वो चैट बॉक्स में लिंक आएगी व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप की, आप उससे ज्वाइन कर लेना। अशोक जी डाल दो प्लीज। एक मैं डलवा। एक मिनट में आपको लिंक प्रोवाइड कर रही हूँ, जस्ट होल्ड करिए। और इन केस कोई और स्टूडेंट भी आपकी एलवीसी जैसे जो है, आप प्लीज उनको भी बोलिए, आपको आपका फीडबैक क्या है एलवीसी को लेके, एलवीआरसी को लेके। आई रिक्वेस्ट कि फीडबैक फॉर्म तो भरिए भरिए। अगर आपका पॉजिटिव है तो प्लीज आप ये अपने अमंग जो कलीग्स हैं, आपके पीयर्स हैं, फ्रेंड्स हैं, उनको भी प्रोपोगेट करिए कि ये क्लास को देखें। देखिए जितना ज्यादा बच्चे देखेंगे उतना ही ज्यादा हमें ये पता चलेगा कि हमें कहाँ इंप्रूवमेंट की जरूरत है, हम आपको उतनी बेटर सर्विस प्रोवाइड करेंगे, है ना। तो जस्ट टेल योर फ्रेंड्स ऑल्सो कि these आर फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट क्लासेस एंड वी कवर द एंटायर सिलेबस सो दैट मोर नंबर ऑफ पार्टिसिपेशन कम्स। जितने आपके ज्यादा पीयर होंगे उनकी क्वेरीज आएंगी, आपके लिए भी उतना अच्छा है। क्योंकि कई बार हमारे माइंड में कुछ क्वेश्चंस नहीं उठ रहे हैं पर दूसरों के माइंड में उठ रहे हैं, उन्हें आप सुन रहे हैं, तो आपको भी नॉलेज बढ़ रही है आपकी, है ना। तो जितने ज्यादा लोग अटेंड करेंगे, जितने क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाएंगे, आपको भी हेल्प है, डायरेक्ट नहीं तो इनडायरेक्ट हेल्प है ना। ठीक है, आप चैट बॉक्स पे देखिए लिंक आ गई है नमन,
यस मैम।
जस्ट ज्वाइन थ्रू दैट लिंक, ओके। एंड एनी अदर क्वेरी, अदरवाइज विल वाइंड अप द सेशन। किसी को कुछ और पूछना है? ओके देन स्टूडेंट्स, ऑल द बेस्ट एंड Hope you are enjoying the sessions. Huh? Thank you everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. हाँ जी.